Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Happy Friday. Y'all go ahead and grab your cups of coffee. Or I may have interrupted your cup of coffee. But go ahead and sip your cup of coffee as I share my thoughts. I have on my Grambling pullover hoodie this morning because it's still Founders Week. Shout out to the awesome founders and the beginners and originators of the Grambling State University. Shout out to Booker T. Washington for giving Charles P. Adams and Martha Adams the assignment. Charles P. Adams decided to come over to North Louisiana and create that, so many names, Negro Normal Agricultural School, and he went on and passed the mantle and baton over to the Press Jones, Ralph Waldo Emerson Jones. Then he passed the mantle on to Dr. Joseph B. Johnson. And Grambling State University was birthed after all of the blood, sweat, and tears of those gentlemen. We have to throw Coach Eddie Robinson in the mix. Because during a lot of those years, he was there putting Grambling on the map by way of our sports program. But the light shined on the sports program. Was able to reach our academic programs, produce some of the greatest minds, greatest leaders that this country has ever known. Shout out to Grambling State University and all of the alumni who've come through those doors, those gates, in the past 120 years. And I'll always continue to push Grambling State becoming black-owned, black-operated. You know what? It's interesting. I'm going to get to my topics in a minute, but whenever I say that, there are more than quite a few people who just seem to scratch their heads like, what is he talking about? What is he talking about? You know, these are college-educated, well-employed, presumably intelligent people. Whenever you mention HBCU becoming black-owned, black-operated, no, I guess what the public institutions, they seem to want to know, how can we do this? We've been feeding off the teeth of the state for so long. You know, I always find I get a chuckle out of that. You know, we talk about black ownership, owning black businesses, funding and, supporting black businesses. And then when it comes to a black business that needs to be owned, all of a sudden everyone's scratching their heads. It's amazing, I'm telling you. You can't make this shit up. Shout out to Tommy Sotomayor. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Can't make this shit up. So, and I mean, these are people who are actually positioned to do it, but I'm telling you, a lot of us have gotten away from what Carter G. Woodson told us. You control a man's thinking, the rest of it just follows. And people don't want to believe that that Willie Lynch letter is not real. It's fine, but I guarantee you, look around black America today, look around black America after 1965, that Willie Lynch letter is real. But we won't read it. And I think if we read those two documents, just those two, I know I'm always talking about the scholars, because the scholars, they laid out the blueprint in order for us to be successful in America. We allowed people, the very people who made life a living hell for our scholars, we allowed them to tell us, no, diversity is the way. No, multiculturalism is the way. And look at us. We can't even come together 40 million to own just 102 HBCUs. And so anyway, shout out to the Grambling State University. Tell you, I need to start teaching black consciousness back at these HBCUs. But anyway, that's not my topic this morning. I just want to throw a shout out to my beloved Grambling State University. You know, I almost make me want to sing the school anthem. Loyal to the ideal school, we'll fight for thee forevermore. Shout out, Graham. Okay. Uh, um, for those of you who didn't know, I also have a little short story that I wrote. Not a little, but it's a pretty good short story about when I met my dad for the first time at age 22. He never wanted to really meet me. I just went on his porch and met him at age 39 years old. 2008, December 25th, 4:30 p.m. Knocked on the door. He came. I said, "Hey, what's up? What's up?" I said, how'd you find me? I said, Google MapQuest. He said, well, I have to give you an A for effort because I've worked aggressively to prevent you from ever finding me. And, well, if you want to hear that whole conversation or read that whole conversation, the title of the short story is The Greatest Pain Ever Felt, Conversation with the Absent Biological Father Who Never Wanted to Be Found. It's only $10. Go look in the description box of this YouTube, of my YouTube channel, Rico the Opinionist, as well as on his Facebook page. When you done watching the video, just go and it has all information by which you are able to purchase it. Should you do the Cash App or the PayPal, please send an email address because the short story is in PDF format. So fool with me if you're cool with me. Okay. Just have a couple of things in my mind, maybe 3 things, but I'm trying to walk slowly as I do my thing. Okay, hold on. Let me get across this damn street. I always have to cross the street when I'm talking to y'all. All right. Most recently, I'm gonna let that damn truck go by too. A black woman from Jamaica. I guess she refers to herself as a Jamaican immigrant by the name of Winsome, W-I-N-S-O-M-E, Winsome Sears. I said, that's a made-up name. I think a lot of these black immigrants, they change their names, just like when Asians come over here and people from India, like somebody from Asia, be it Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Philippines, whatever, their names could be Bong Kak Dong Hui Ding Dang Gong. So, but you can call me Susie. What? Or you can call me Chip. Just call me Brad. You know damn well that's not your name. And I think a lot of African immigrants do it too. From the continent. And then it could be Kindiome, Ubuntu, Dele, something Shaka and Zulu. But call me Gerald. And I get why they do that shit. But it's a form of assimilation into the mainstream culture. Or they could be like a lot of us say, look, just call me this name because you're not going to ruin my name. People from India do the same thing. And then it could be Bangladesh, Akim, Adu, Buddha, Qatar. I just have a feeling that that's not her name. Winsome Sears, as in Sears and Roebuck, the old school shit. Sears. Well, this black woman, obviously African woman, born in Jamaica. She became the first black woman lieutenant governor of the state of Virginia. And she was on the podium with her husband and her 2 daughters, good-looking daughters too. She talked about her humble beginnings. So we always have to talk about how poor we are before we, if you black living in them Caribbean countries, if you black in America, most likely, goddammit, you grew up poor. But I think that's something for the mainstream America, like for white folks and others who, I guess, to make them feel like benefactors, or when they're the ones who created the poverty in all these Caribbean countries and in cities across America. But I came up poor, I came up this. It's like, you ever watch the show American Idol? They will not put the talent on until they hear the destructiveness in people's lives. I was poor, my mother left me, my father left. No, I was left alone. I was raised by a cat and a rat in an alley. they taught me integrity and dignity. Oh, come on. I mean, they will not put the talent on. We don't have to hear that crap. We already know, okay, you were fucked up, you were left, you were molested, you were beaten, you were all this. And then the judges get to, oh, your story is so moving. Now let's hear you sing. You know, I'm telling you, that formula is so tired. Well, Miss Winsome Sears, congratulations, sister. You know, and I brought her up because my main conversation about her and I guess the extended conversation about her, or that bounces off of her, in my opinion, is this thing about black immigrants and black Americans. You know, what's the disconnect? As I heard her speech, you know, about coming from her humble beginnings, do you know that all of them say the same thing, especially the black ones? They all say the same thing. TK said, I met a Chinese dude named Kevin. I'm just saying. I grew up poor. I had to scratch and I clawed my way through, and they say these things right here. I went to school. I studied hard, and I came up through the ranks. And you know, and so put a pin in that part. Just put a pin in that, okay? She's a Republican, y'all. And because the question that comes to mind for me is, where is the black hoopla? Meaning, especially from black women. You know, all up and down Instagram, all up and down Twitter, all up and down Facebook, anywhere, TikTok, they're always saying the first black woman, the first black woman to grow a toenail, the black woman, black girl magic, black girls can do it, black girls can, black girls rock. I mean, all of the accolades for being a black woman doing the first thing. But I have yet to hear any celebration of this black woman who's obviously accomplished, educated and accomplished. She has a black husband with black daughters. No, shout out to Omarosa. Then I realized, why is it that whenever black America or black women say we must protect black women, they actually don't mean Republican or conservative black women, where their political affiliation erases their race or remixes their DNA? How come there's no celebration for this woman for her accomplishments? She made it to be the first lieutenant governor, and she could possibly become the first black woman governor, or woman governor, but definitely the first black woman governor of Virginia. Should something happen to the governor, or she run on her own merits and win. So I don't understand this, and I wonder if everyone else is paying attention to this. We have a lot of accomplished black women who are not Democrats, but we don't celebrate them. Why? So that's why I don't take a lot of stuff seriously. Protect black women, unless she's Candace Owens. Protect black women, unless she's Omarosa. You know, I don't do that. You know, because again, you know, Omarosa worked for Donald Trump, Republican. Candace Owens, Republican, who's married to a white man. But that's not the issue, because black women always celebrate when another black woman marries a white man. But unless she is Republican. Isn't that interesting how that works? If she's a Democratic black woman married to a white man, yes, sister, get your love. Yes, love knows no boundary. Love knows no color. Yes, sister. You know, it's amazing how this works. And so, but I guess I'm the only one who's paying attention to stuff like this. Or am I one of the few people who dare to point it out? Okay. So Winsome Sears, black woman, obviously black, black parents, obviously. She's not being celebrated. Hey, Shade Room. Hey, Madame Noir. Essence. What's good? Y'all not celebrating this sister? Jet Ebony. Y'all not celebrating this sister? We think she'll be invited to the Essence Festival next year? But the other part I want to bring up is how come there's such a disconnect between black immigrants? Now, I listen to Dr. Claude Anderson all the time, and he's telling the truth about how the Democratic Party and the liberals, they're bringing over these immigrants to replace the black vote, and that is the truth. You got Afghanistan and Hispanics and Europeans, anybody else, but they're also bringing black immigrants over, but they don't view them the same way they view the non-black immigrants. So let's get that clear, because the black immigrants from Jamaica, Haiti, and any other parts, they can just as well be thrown into the pot with black Americans. To all you black immigrants out there who think you're so different, cut it out. You might as well come on over and join in. But let's have this conversation first. When some seers said, when I hear a lot of these accomplished immigrants, those who come over, they be it the Africans who come straight for the continent and go to the biggest white schools, or the Jamaican and the Haitians. They say, I went to school, I studied hard, and I graduated, and I went to work, and I did what I need to do. How come? We can erase all of that other stuff. How come it doesn't seem to be the MO of too many? Because a lot of us are going to school. A lot of us are doing our thing, or have gone to school and all this. But how come that doesn't seem to be the recipe for a lot of African Americans? Going to school, studying hard, mastering STEM, math, English, writing, verbal skills. It is almost as if for black Americans, going to school and allowing school to be your way up and your way out, or your way out and your way up, it doesn't seem to be the option. And based on a lot of our behavior in this country, it's like we don't even support it. I know there are tons of 4.0, 3.5 black males, and we certainly know it's females because they're always highlighted. But we don't seem to push that. But as soon as someone is dancing, rapping, stripping, or someone acting a clown on TV, we just all for it. Or if they're in Hollywood writing these old Negro movies, Negro plays, we're all for it. But we don't push the STEM or the education route anymore. We can say what we want to say about the so-called boule. Well, no, not so-called, but the boule and the Jack and Jill and all that. But one thing about it, they definitely teach their clan or their tribe, look, you go to school, you go to law school, you go to nursing school, you go to medical school, definitely go to graduate school, and they come out and they get in these positions, and they do the work. But we don't seem to push that. And so the immigrants come over to America, which is a capitalistic country, and they just like, shit, we already came from pretty much nothing. Where we come from is very beautiful, very, it's a heaven on earth. Beautiful beaches, and the weather is beautiful, but we're not making any money. And it's fine. And so they have an understanding of how to utilize America. They have this understanding of how to utilize America, but black Americans don't seem to understand it. We don't utilize it in a way that benefits us as it relates to ownership and building up the intellect. No, I have my quarrels with W.E.B. Du Bois, and I understand what Booker T. Washington was talking about. Education will lead the way. Your education leads to creativity. And it also takes you away from this behavior that keeps us constantly entangled in these systematic traps. Because when your mindset is different, you don't really get caught up in a lot of foolishness, a lot of traps in this country that's set up specifically to undermine black existence. Did y'all hear what I just said? And so when these other immigrants come over, let's say Jamaican and Haitian or whatever, and Africans, they come over like, damn, they're not taking advantage of all this that's going on. Maybe it's mindset. But I also say on the other end, for those who trying to, Jamaican, Haitians, and African immigrants, for those of you who come over and think you are better than black Americans, that's where you need to close your mouth. Because you are able to fly over here and come on over here because of the blood, sweat, and tears, and lynching, and beatings, and Jim Crowing, and all this other shit that black Americans went through, so you can just fly your ass on over here and go straight up into the white part of America and close your mouth and do what you need to do. Do you understand? So you immigrants that think you're better because you coming over here and everything has been, all the rough edges have been smoothed out for your ass, cut it out. But still, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, what is it? What is it about taking the conservative or the education route that seems to throw us off? So what is it about that we seem to not want to utilize as an option or make it the main? Why is it that we seem to protest stuff, that some of the stuff we can kind of get around, but we should be crashing these school board buildings? Yeah, we can protest the cops' behaviors, but a lot of that can be worked out, I think. But the things we should be crashing into, like these school board places, school board buildings, we tend to walk past those. We just send the children to those schools, to those pipeline to prison factories, and with little or no resistance. So when some seer says that she is an immigrant, and one thing about those immigrants, they don't like the word race. See, they understand the talking points, because a lot of them are conservative. And but conservative in the way that original blacks were. We were conservative, like we took care of our own, raised our own children, created things in our own neighborhood. We built our own, and that's conservatism that I can appreciate. But then these immigrants would get over here, and all of a sudden they start taking on these, what I call the right-wing talking points of conservatism. No, race is not an issue. It wasn't race. See, they do come over here with a level of denial. And I want to tell everybody that's coming over from Jamaica, Haiti, and Africa, you have your ass over here because of how they treating you in your country. But over here you can navigate your way. You make your mind up, okay, I don't care what they do or what they say, I'm going to do what I need to do, because this is a capitalistic country. You can come over here and you do what you need to do. And that's not my issue. The thing is, you coming over and you join them into attacking black Americans without understanding the history of how black Americans made it possible for you. Yeah, black Americans make it possible for those black immigrants to come over and do what they do. And some of them come over, a lot of them come over, don't even take advantage. So, I just find that to be amazing that they all sound the same. I come over, I work hard, racism is not an issue for me. I came through, some of them come over and marry Caucasians, which is that right, but I think it's all strategic. Because one thing, let me tell you African immigrants something, you Haitian and Jamaican immigrants. In your mind, you can train yourself to erase, I guess, racism or erase the whole color thing. But when you look in the mirror, you still look like Harriet Tubman. You still look like Don Cheadle, goddammit. You still black, and you still being looked at as such. You can get your law degree, PhD, and all of that. And I'm telling you, I urge you to do that. I promote that. I encourage that. The reality is, It'll always be a conflict between Europeans and Africans, the way it's always been from the beginning. Europe and Africa. I don't care where you're born, your nationality does not trump, does not circumvent that European and African conflict. Got it? And I hope I didn't ramble so much that people got lost in what I was saying, what I'm trying to say. You know, I appreciate her winning, but I don't appreciate, you know, because she is conservative or considered a Republican, that she's not being celebrated. I don't like that. Because in 1 minute, we all black people. But then as soon as they find out the black person is a Republican or conservative, well, you know, not them. I said, damn, y'all treat black Republicans than you do black drug dealers. You treat them worse than you do gang members. You treat them worse than the people actually attacking our community. You know, all because of their party affiliation. And some of their philosophies, it is what it is. But one thing about a lot of these Jamaican, Haitian, African immigrants, they're producing. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that part on that piece. All right, I hope I didn't go too long on that. I just want to talk, break it down slowly where we can all understand. My next piece is, Aaron Rodgers flat out lied. Y'all know Aaron Rodgers, he's the quarterback of Green Bay. And shout out to Kwame Brown, because if you're not on his channel, that dude, you know, every time he speaks, I hear the scholars. And I don't know what he's read. It's probably just from him being a former NBA player and paying attention to how that stuff works. Because you rarely hear a lot of NBA players, the NFL players, sound like him. No, even retired, they don't talk like him. They don't tell what's actually going on. And the way he can point out the trickery of white supremacy. Now, not without saying it. Because when I hear this dude, I don't know if he even knows who Dr. John Henry Clark is, who Dale Jones is, or Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, or now I don't know if he knows who the scholars are, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, but there's a wisdom that this brother has, being a former NBA player, #1 draft pick, but what, in 99, 2000, and 18 years old, was in the league about 13 years. But it's something about his thinking. Y'all pay attention. Y'all don't think that they know who you are when they hear you? That's why, you know, Fred Hampton had a son, and they was been on his son for years. Because they know who you are. J. Edgar Hoover said in the 60s, we must prevent the rise of a black messiah. He was the director of the goddamn FBI. We must prevent the rise of a black messiah. So people have been trained all over, and especially in this country, how to point out the next possible Malcolm, the next possible Marcus, the next possible Noble Drew Ali, the next possible Desmond Vesey, David Walker, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. They've been trained on how to spot you out, so much so that they've trained us. You know how I know? Wow, he's talking crazy. Oh, he's racist. He's anti-white. See, he even got us on that. So he has a particular wisdom for a 39-year-old man who's in the league. So shout out to Kwame. And I need us to become more intelligent. When we hear these things, pay attention. So he's pointing out the league, and he just saying stuff so plainly, like, damn. Y'all, and know, he's speaking what a lot of us are thinking, and some of us, those of us who have YouTube channels or Facebook pages, we're saying it. But I'm glad that he's using his popular voice to get our thoughts out there a little further, you know, because our little YouTube channels and Facebook pages don't go that far. He was saying, damn, everybody had all this smoke for Kyrie Irving and what's his name? What's the cat? KD, I'll just say KD, I can't think his name because y'all know I'm not into sports like that. Kevin Durant. And another brother, I think he finally went on and gave in. There was a third guy. And they came up with all these scenarios, how he's putting his teammates in jeopardy and him taking the stands. He's hurting the black community. And one question that Kwame Brown always asks on his page, how come they never approach or ask these white men like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers about their vaccine status, their V status? They never. And a lot of us don't even think to act like that because we're so focused on beating the crap out of black men who are athletes. Now, I listen to other black men talking about these athletes like they ain't shit. They just talk trash. And so, that's like, what is it about black men that even we see them running a football, see them dunking a basketball, we just hold them accountable for everything. And he's right, because he was in there. He heard it. He watched it. He experienced it. And so that's a new conversation being brought to us, and I don't think we're paying attention to. It's like, well, damn, y'all try to, in his words, kick black athletes' draws up their ass every chance we get. And I hear black. No, I'm not a sports person. I ain't like having sports conversation with other men because it's childish and it's stupid. It's wasted emotion. Well, you know, man, that man next year, man, he gonna get drafted, man. That man gonna make all the money. No, I don't care about that lame ass crap. But if you want to hear black men talk and talk loud, just bring up the topic of sports. But you want to hear hear some silence. Talk about, use the word revolution. And silence comes across the room when there's a bunch of black dudes. So, but anyway, he spoke about it. And the main culprit who talks so much trash about black athletes, been allowed to do it for about 20 years and just got a raise up to $12 million, that damn StephenASmith. Yeah, he's an HBCU graduate. Who cares? He's terrible. A lot of you have watched the movie Django Unchained. And the main character that people remember the most is Samuel Jackson's character, Stephen. And Stephen will be, in relation to the conversation on slavery and the plantation of various characters, he would be considered a Sambo. So Sambo was the dangerous slave who said, yes, master, I get it. You know, I don't trust them over here, master. They come here to get their good. Yeah, you know, master. That is the Sambo. Sambo stays in master's ear to let him know if there's a Nat Turner anywhere on the plantation. And StephenASmith is a Sambo. Sometimes y'all call the wrong people Sambos. You call the black conservatives the Sambos. Nah, they're right amongst you. Now, some of them do trip a lot, go too far. But need to add him. And the coons are your black rappers. If y'all want to know the difference, just find this video by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's called Inappropriate Behavior. Inappropriate Behavior by Dr. Claude Anderson. And also, just as a bonus, here's another video. It's called Exceptional People, okay? So they'll break that coon and Sambo and all that down in that Dr. Claude Anderson's video on YouTube, Inappropriate Behavior. The best 1 hour and I think 50 minutes of your life. Change your life. It's not a boring video. It's very educational, entertaining, because he's a dynamic speaker. He delivers very well. It's StephenASmith been allowed to talk trash about black athletes, but Kwame pointed out that when it comes to the white athlete, his tone softens. And this tone definitely softened on this Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, you lying son of a bitch. You know, they asked him, so, flat out, are you vaccinated? And he had his head down. He said, no, just like you put him on down. He's like, I'm immunized. That's not what they asked you. But here's the media, though. The media ain't worth a damn. Now, I know there was some intelligent people in the room. He said, no one said, hey, Aaron, that's not what I asked you. I asked you if you were vaccinated. No one did a follow-up. Nobody did a pushback. You know, like when Lil Nas X said on the Breakfast Club when he was posed the question about being a role model for little kids, you know, and parents, and asked about the possible concern of parents of him being a positive image, and he looked to the camera, or he tilted his head up and said, "Fuck your kids." And Charlamagne the God thought it was funny. He said, "Uh-oh, Lil Nas X, you're gonna become headline news on some blogs." You gave the blogs their title instead of saying, "What did you say, Lil Nas X?" He nor Angela Yee nor DJ Envy posed a pushback question or say, "Hey, are you kidding me?" That's how those reporters did Aaron Rodgers, as Kwame speaks about, and like a lot of our scholars, African-centered scholars spoke about over the past 70, 80 years, about how white males are not approached, they are not attacked. No, their manhood is not questioned. And we need to mature to this conversation. And he proved to be right, because StephenASmith spoke very softly. He lied. Go look at let's look at it. Look at the video. Go on YouTube when Jay Williams actually put him in check. I don't know who Jason Williams is or Jay Williams is. I guess he played football or whatever. But he actually called him out on it. He said, "Good for you." Called StephenASmith out on his coonery. Right there. And then all of a sudden, the white woman and the white man came in. They didn't have nothing to say. They just added what's called a bunch of verbal masturbation. Unnecessary dialogue just to shut the Jay Williams guy down. However, we have to start calling this stuff out. Y'all see the difference? But anyway, let me say this as a side note. Anybody that thinks the NFL is real after Deflategate, y'all gotta be kidding me, right? That man purposely had some deflated balls and was throwing them. And y'all still think that shit is real? See? And number two, if y'all think this shit is not rigged and these people don't play games, when Russell Wilson purposely threw that football to throw the Super Bowl to keep Marshawn Lynch from being the man that year. See, let me tell y'all something about we must prevent the rise of a black messiah. See, I'm not into sports. I don't give a shit about it like that. But I'm into behavior. And I'm into critical and analytical thinking. And I saw that. Marshawn Lynch had been running that ball. He was Ezekiel Elliott in that damn game. He was running that damn ball all the way. I mean, killing him. And Russell Wilson had been passing that man the ball all the way through. In my opinion, I'm saying this is in my opinion. He had thrown that ball, and then all of a sudden, they're like two inches from the goal line, from the touchdown, from the end zone. They're like 2 inches. And all he had to do was give it to Marshawn Lynch. Now let's do the history of Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch was labeled difficult in the league. Because Marshawn Lynch is one of those cats like, I'm over it. I'm over this shit. And so, he's like, they ask stupid questions in these press conferences. They ask us dumb questions. I'm tired of answering them. And I don't know if he said that, but I'm just telling you what his mood appeared to be, right? And so, they must have told him, they threatened to fine him if he wouldn't answer those dumb questions. So Marshawn Lynch was like, okay. They said, well, you still have to show up. You can't just sit there and not say anything. I mean, when they got you on the contract in these systems, they really try to control everything about you, right? When you're these professional athletes. But it doesn't seem to impact the white guys that much. They seem to bear down on the black athletes really hard. Y'all pay attention. We're so busy trying to say, well, they make $90 million. What they tripping about? They're still human beings, goddammit. They're still men. Because somebody makes a lot of money, their humanity doesn't count anymore. They don't have the right to be angry or to be forceful or have an opinion. Y'all check yourselves in that kind of thinking. Wait, well, what his leg hurt? That man get paid $75 million for 1 year. His leg's still broken, you jackass. let's go back to, I'm telling you, I told you I don't get involved in these sports conversations because it's a room full of yelling idiots. And I don't. I'm not a big fan of sports bars either, but look, no, I go up in there because they have hot wings and beers at the tap. But anyway, Marshawn Lynch started coming to the press conferences and saying like, I'm here. Something like, I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. They say you need to at least be there for 5 minutes or something like that. I'm here. Blah, blah, blah. He had a one line he used to say all the time, which was legal. He was able to say that, I'm here. I'm supposed to be here. I'm present. I'm visible. He just say something because they told him don't go in there and not just say anything. So he had his little statement. And so, obviously, people were in the offices of the NFL and in America pissed at this rebellious slave. And so, and you know, black boys and black children love NFL and NBA players. Y'all aware of that, right? Because black boys have been taught, this is your way out. This is all you can do. You don't have to learn to read and write. Just learn how to run and jump and hop and throw. And for real, a lot of black boys who are aimed, who are playing high school sports, if they break their ankle or they hurt themselves in college, a lot of them literally they spiral down into depression because they don't think they're supposed to do anything else because I'm just a physical guy. No, fool, you have a brain too, but I blame the parents. I blame, the mother and the father. Yeah, my boy's gonna be running that ball. He gonna make it to the NFL, NBA. And if he doesn't make it, he feels like a 6 foot, 220 pound failure when he can become a 625 pound IT guy or a doctor or a professor or have a nonprofit that teach young people how to read and write in the ghetto. No, he think if it's not sports related, he don't think he's useful to the world anymore. That's a whole nother video. So Marshawn Lynch had been labeled difficult or the runaway slave by America's media. And then we were repeating the foolishness. So, when it came to that Super Bowl, had Marshawn Lynch been given that ball and he ran that touchdown, he would have not only been the MVP, I don't know if they gave it to him anyway, but I have to go back and look. Y'all let me know if they gave it to him anyway. Not only would he have been the MVP, but he would have been such an inspiration to black boys, millions of black boys, not just in America, but across the world. Say, you know what? You can stand up and still be a man and still make a lot of money. But the spirit of J. Edgar Hoover hit the coaches of the Minnesota Vikings, whoever he plays for. We must prevent the rise of a black messiah. Russell Wilson, I saw it. It's like I saw it. He got that call on that field. Russell Wilson, right there, all he had to do was hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Russell Wilson threw a pass and it was intercepted. It's almost like he threw it to the dude. And when that happened, Russell Wilson snatched that thing away from around his helmet and walked immediately off the field. I said, yeah, he understood the assignment. Now, I can't say whether he wanted to do it or not, but he did it, in my opinion, what I perceive, my perspective. And that's what I knew. I said, this shit is rigged. And black men who dominate the sports are not allowed to be men. Y'all not even paying attention. They dominate these sports, but they still looked at it, treated, and presented as boys. They can't even be a man in the fields that they dominate. But nobody's paying attention. I'm just some old little loud-mouth talking, polarizing social worker. I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Shout out to my Grambling State University. Yeah, so that's what I saw. And StephenASmith will never say any of this, And white men get to, as Kwame did so eloquently points out all the time in his videos, Kwame Brown Bus Life, they get to live their legacy. They get to be men, white men. The white athletes get to be men and white men. Now, it doesn't say that a lot of black athletes don't make some of the dumbest choices in their lives. That's another video we'll talk about. But you know, still the media sends the message out to the world, and unfortunately people follow what the media says, so they tend to disrespect the black athletes the same way the media pundits on ESPN or Fox Sports 1 or wherever, the FS, well, all the sports shows, even the black commentators who are up there, they disrespect the black athletes. It's like it's a script that they're given. Now you got a lot of them who do speak up for the black athletes, but they don't go in hard. They try to keep these jobs, I guess. You know. So anyway, and I'm asking the question, why StephenASmith? But we all know why. He's a $12 million Negro. And there's nothing wrong with making your money and earning your way. But we're going to have to be honest about how these blacks are doing it. You know, because we got some folks that, well, because people become successful, all of a sudden they're sellouts. No, that's not true. You can go through there. It's your behavior when you get there. But it's what you say a lot of times. It's, you know, because there's strategies to a lot of stuff we do. To making it corporate America, to making it whatever. You know, there's conversations you have to have, and some you just need to ignore. If you have interest of moving, if you have any interest of moving up in anything, right? There's some conversations you stay away from. Hell, I even tell some folks, young people, hey, if you're trying to be successful, stay away from the so-called, I guess, hotep and quote-unquote pro-black conversation, because black people don't support you. If you become successful, you're going to have a whole lot of other people helping you out along the way. Just use your talent, if you're talented or whatever it is, and sell your product, because the only thing that our community seems to really support is if you're dancing, rapping, you're selling food, but far as like you use your intellect to really teach us the truth the way Malcolm X taught us, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, not these days. You have to, as my brother would always tell me, you have to give black people what they want, Rico. Give them something to eat, something to drink, and make them laugh. Well, I guess I've yet to listen to my brother, and I'm gonna start listening to him. Maybe I don't know if maybe it's too late for me. I try to tell a lot of young people, hey, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate your locks. Young sister, I appreciate you throwing up the black fist. Well, what are you, a criminal justice major? You might have to chill out on that if you plan to become like a supervisor on federal probation or something like that. Because one thing about it, you're trying to, you know, be powerful to people, your ass gonna be broke. Because black people scared of revolution. They don't fund it. You know, if you're trying to open up a school for black boys, black people are not gonna support you. So it's just one of those tricky things. You say, I'm for black. Well, you can't say I'm for black out loud. Because even if you had a black business, I don't understand why these black business owners actually say, this is a black business. Well, you just shut your business down. Just say you are a hair salon. Just say you're a barbershop. Just say whatever it is. Just say you're a counseling service. Now, if you want to take that risk out of pride and culture, go ahead. But as soon as you put, this is a black men's or this is a black woman's, yeah, they're going to go straight across the street to the non-black man and to the non-black woman. It just, no, the Carter G. Woodson book is real. I'm telling y'all probably need to read and give it to your children. I'm telling you, it will change the behavior. And I'm going right back to Winsome Sears. It'll change your behavior if we gave our children the books and taught them, go in that damn school, learn to read, learn to write. If they're not teaching you, well, libraries are free. You can come home and get those books. No, and then today's technology, you can learn anything you want to off of YouTube. I'm forcing myself to learn that, to understand that. Learn to read, write. If you can't do math, YouTube. Because people say, find a tutor. People aren't tutoring like they used to. They're there. A lot of times you have to be a part of systems to get connected to a student. No one's really volunteering like they used to, because when they volunteer, hell, people don't even show up. So, I'm telling you, man, black Americans in education, black Americans and black immigrants, black athletes and black people, why do we disrespect them so hard? Well, because there's a machine behind it. And We can say a lot of things about these black immigrants, but one thing we have to agree with, that when they come over here, those who decide to make their mind up to go to these schools, be it the black schools or the white schools, they come in with an agenda. They come in with the assignment. They come in with the fortitude to complete the agenda and the assignment. And I wish that spirit of conservatism was still in the masses of black folks in this country. That spirit of when African people were, as they say, released from bondage and slavery in this country. They didn't have anything, not even the appropriate enough ability to speak English. But they literally made something out of nothing, because one thing was in our people carpentry, how to build. We've always ancestrally been able to do that. Just what's got us, to where we are. And people understand the power of the brain. And Carter G. Woodson wrote about it in their book, Miseducation of the Negro. If you go in and reprogram the brain, everything else is just automatic. So we're going to have to reprogram us back to the black conservatives that we were. That's how we built Black Wall Street. We didn't build Black Wall Street on liberalism. We didn't build Black Wall Street on Republican. We didn't build Black Wall Street on Democrats, certainly not no damn Democrat. We built it on cultural integrity and cultural conservatism. That's who we were, and that's what those black immigrants bring. They bring family and ancestral traditions and cultural conservatism. And so the only group that seems to be conservative over here is white folks. And so that's how they end up connecting with them. Of all the stuff we can accuse them of doing, and that's right, and historically, even now. But one thing that's free that cannot be taken away from people is the ability to learn to read, write, and do math. All those three things are universal. And we are missing out on the universal things. Even when it comes to the GRE, SAT. That's culturally biased. What's culturally biased about math? What's culturally biased about writing? What's culturally biased about reading? Thank y'all, Democratic Party. You created damn near a whole race of invalids. Dependent invalids. And when people say, well, you don't have to go to college, they're right, you don't. Because Malcolm X didn't. But he was the lead lecturer, the lead debater at the most Ivy of Ivy League schools across the world, even Cambridge, out debating people. So I bring up Malcolm because Malcolm is a good example I think that people are still familiar with. Malcolm had his time, did all this stuff in his youth, and he picked up a book. He went to the library. He didn't try to join no gang. He already done that. He tried to join no gang and be cool with Malcolm. Malcolm went straight to the library. I'm telling you, that library is a serious thing. We need to teach black boys. You're one put here just to run, jump, and dunk. It's so unfortunate when you hear a lot of these black males. They're 6'2", 220 pounds of twisted steel of muscle, but can't think their way out of a wet paper bag. And their articulation is just, oh my God, horrendous in a lot of these cats. And then when they go to these white colleges to play football and basketball, they have majors like PE, social studies. So, and some of them say, I'm going to get into physical therapy. Well, it's a lot more than physical therapy than they think. It's a lot more work than they think. But they do it just say, well, physical therapy. And so they get these little soft majors so they can play. And they have people there to do their work for them so they can play. Then let's say they bust their ankle or kill their knee. Then now they really have to rely on their brains. They get frustrated. Next thing you know, you got these ex-college athletes on crack or hanging out with the bruhs and the thugs in the hood. No, just a waste. There's no support for when athletes fail. When they fail physically, there's no one there to pick them up and say, it's okay, brother, you still have an intellect. You can still be something else to make you a lot of money and get you a great position in society. Those routes shouldn't be the only routes to success in this country for black boys. That's their physicalities. And we need to stop that shit. He could be 6'2" or 6'9" and be a researcher in a laboratory. He can be, goddamn it, 7'1", 220, and he's the head doctor in pediatrics. It's all right. Damn. But no, because everybody else that's 5'3", 5'6", they call them people from India and Asia. They're killing all those fields, the STEM programs. And we're going to have to. We can continue to debate about this race all day long. No, just let me do it while everybody else, we should be putting our kids in an educational environment and teaching them how to read, write, and do arithmetic. I guarantee you it'll take them so much further in this society, and then we'll actually become a competitive group. I know I went all over, and I was rambling, but those of you who stuck with me through all this, I appreciate it. Fool with me if you're cool with me on everything else. I'll end it right here. I think I've spoken long enough. In the words of Forrest Gump when he ran that 4-day marathon, and he was finished, he had that beard and that bubblegum hat on. As I'm going to quote that famous line, "I'm tired now. I want to go home." So y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. Shout out to Grambling for 120 years. We got 120 more to go. Y'all be cool. Peace. Let me try it. Y'all be cool. Peace. Let me try it again.